Hello, I welcome you to my channel, and today the topic for discussion is sin. Sin is an offense against reason, truth, and right conscience. It is a failure in genuine love for God and neighbor, caused by a perverse attachment to certain goods. It wounds the nature of man and injures human solidarity. And this definition can be seen in the catechism of the Catholic Church, page 1849. In other words, sin is any word, thought, or action that goes against the commands or the will of God. Sin may be committed not only by the outward deeds, but also the inner activities of the mind. An example is imagination without even desiring, and pleasure taken in a sinful thought. Theologically, sin is divided into actual and original sin. And when we talk about original sin are the sins that we have inherited right from birth. The sin inherited from our first parent, that is Adam and Eve, the sin committed by them. Then when we talk about the actual sin are the sins that we have committed ourselves. And in the Catholic Church, under the actual sin, we have two types. We have the venial sin and the mortal sin. And the simplest explanation that one can give to mortal sin and venial sin is that the mortal sin are the serious sins that we commit. An example is incest, rape, murder, perjury, and the like. Then when we talk about the venial sin are the less serious sins that we commit, and they are just a minor violation of the commands of God. So the question here is that, how would I be able to differentiate between a mortal sin and a venial sin? For a mortal sin to take place, there are three conditions necessary for that. We have the grave matter, we have the full knowledge, and deliberate consent for a grave sin to be committed. When we talk about grave matter, it means that the sin committed itself must be evil and immoral for it to be considered as a mortal sin. And there must be full knowledge. And when we talk about full knowledge, it means that the person who is committing or planning to commit the sin must know that what he or she is doing is evil and immoral. Then when we talk about deliberate consent, it means that the person or the sin should be committed freely without being forced to commit that particular sin. So when one person commits a sin and the sin is a grave matter, it is very evil, it is very immoral. The person is aware that what he or she is doing is evil and immoral, and the person does it freely out of his own will, then that particular sin is considered as a mortal sin. What about the venial sin? For a venial sin to take place, one of the conditions necessary for a mortal sin to take place might have been fulfilled. Either a grave matter and deliberate consent, or either deliberate consent and full knowledge. So for a venial sin to take place, one or two of the conditions necessary for a mortal sin must have been committed. Anytime we commit mortal sin, it separates us from the love of God and it denies us from sanctifying grace. And anytime we also commit venial sin, it also brings upon ourselves temporal punishment. It does not lead us to hell, but it weakens our soul and impedes the progress in practice of virtue and good moral. And some of the sins are considered to be capital or deadly sin. So these are the capital or deadly sin. We call them capital or deadly sin because out of this sin comes other sins. So these sins, when you commit it, it leads you to commit other grave sin or other sins. That is why we classify them as deadly sin. And God being so good, the Catholic Church has a sacrament that helps us after baptism. Whenever we commit or we are guilty of sin, we are expected to go to the confessional and receive the sacrament of penance and reconciliation for the forgiveness and cleansing of our souls. This is where we end today's section concerning sin, and I do appreciate your time spent to watch this video. I will once again encourage you to comment on this video and share your thoughts with me. Don't only watch but also share with your friends that others can also benefit from this wonderful video. Thank you very much once again.